Africa has got 54 states thanks to the Balkanization of Africa when it was colonized, as a result of which you have all these border controls by 54 countries. Assuming on average that a country has got 10 border controls for border crossings, 54 states will give you with 10 540, and I'm being modest because there are more than that, border controls. So you can see that this is very toxic indeed, because it means that when you want to do trade facilitation, when you want to have people moving freely, you have got to have all these multiple, checks, the multiple controls.
The World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement that was just concluded is a really big deal. It's not every day that 159 countries get together and agree on anything. Under this agreement, these countries have all agreed that they're going to implement a package of reforms to how goods enter their market, so that customs authorities are going to be more efficient and cut through red tape so that goods can reach customers more rapidly.
African countries always supported the trade facilitation agreement. If you recall all the controversial issues commonly referred to as the Singapore issues, trade facilitation was never really in dispute. It was core investment rules, core competition rules, core public procurement rules that were in dispute, but trade facilitation wasn't. All that African countries have been saying consistently from the word go up to today is that they're happy to facilitate trade, which is of course in the best interest of the people in Africa, but they need to have the capacity to do so. So they always wanted partnerships. They always wanted some understanding, some degree of commitment that there would be adequate partnerships to enable them to implement the trade facilitation obligations that they would enter.
First of all, the understanding of what the trade facilitation is. You want to be able to move your goods freely and without undue hindrance from point A to point B. And that is what our understanding is of facilitating trade or trade facilitation, so the movement of goods here and there.
The biggest problem now is that there is this issue now for the SGS certification of products. I'm importing the products in bulk from UK mainly. These products are already inspected. We have the certificate of conformity and all the necessary documents from the UK and from the US. I bring these goods in bulk, pack them in Kenya. Obviously the labor, the machinery and all that, power and all that, there is an input that I'm putting in Kenya to pack these particular products. Try to re-export them again to the region is a problem, because what they're saying is that the product originally is not coming from Kenya. But still, when I give them the supporting document to cross the products over from the documents that I brought in the goods in Kenya, still is a problem. I am now stuck. I have standing orders for Kigali. I have standing orders for Uganda, but I cannot move because of this issue for SGS certification.
The ultimate benefit of trade facilitation to Africa is basically to reduce transaction costs, and then when transaction costs are reduced, the business environment is competitive, and when the business environment is competitive, there is more production, more trade, and people have an enhanced welfare.
It's a good thing for Congo to see business growing, to see more investment coming in here, and to see more growth. It's a very good thing for the country in terms of improvement of doing business, the climate of business, in terms of combating corruption. Those are things that are encouraging to go that direction of growing business in this country. But I think that we need more in terms of having a good climate for business here.
Now, the facilitation of trade can take various forms, and there has been discussion of these forms for quite some time now. In the context of the OECD, the context of the WTO, we are very familiar now with the new agreement that has just been reached at Bali. What we have been doing is facilitating trade across borders in terms of customs procedures, for instance, to make sure that the time spent at the borders is as short as possible, is the shortest possible. For instance, at the Chirundu one-stop border post, which is quite famous, the waiting time at that border has reduced from as long as 9 days to 20 minutes.
The first thing which struck me when I came here was the ease with which traffic flows through the border. The processes are synchronized between the two countries. As the concept itself states, it's a one-stop border. So traffic from either country, from Zambia going to Zimbabwe, stops once on the Zimbabwean side. Equally, traffic from Zimbabwe going to Zambia stops once on the Zambian side. And as a result of that, what I witnessed was a great reduction in the clearance time and the turnaround time. So the time spent at the border is greatly reduced. And that, of course, also entails reduced cost of business, both for commercial and passenger traffic.
The TFA is a huge undertaking, and it should be also looked at in the context of government's ability to be able to do that, but also to be able to do other things, because we are working in a very limited budgetary allocations. We have very little money, you know. So how much money is going to go to implement the TFA is the question also, vis-a-vis other very key and critical sectors.
I believe that it will not be very difficult for our countries such as Zambia, where we are, or Zimbabwe, or Malawi, or Uganda, or Kenya, to identify the category A obligations. All that is required is for them to do a baseline study of what is currently in place, what trade facilitation interventions they have taken, and what is actually on the ground. Now, those can already be category A obligations, which they can already begin to implement the moment the agreement enters force.
I do believe that Malawi will be in a position to move forward with implementation. Of course, depending on several factors being in place. As you know, the trade facilitation agreement is structured in a way that it gives room for support, to countries that have got limited capacity in certain areas. So in that respect, I would expect Malawi to move forward to implement. Where we cannot implement, definitely would have to come forth and present our case.
Je crois que ce qu'on nous exige là, c'est de la transparence. Il faut que ce qui se fait ici soit connu. Parce que je disais ce matin dans une des réunions que un pays qui veut aller à l'émergence a un premier défi à relever, c'est la transparence. Mais ici, chez nous, au Congo, nous avons déjà 2 programmes qui sont financés par l'OMC, toujours dans le même processus de nous aider à entrer dans le commerce international. Nous avons un programme qu'on appelle EDCOM et nous avons un autre programme qu'on appelle CIR, cadre intégré renforcé du commerce. Vous comprenez? La communauté internationale a changé vraiment de méthode. Quand ils vous exigent, ils mettent aussi les moyens à votre disposition. À part l'Organisation mondiale du commerce, il y a l'Union européenne qui nous accompagne dans beaucoup de projets de ce genre. C'est pourquoi nous sommes en train de renforcer notre administration du commerce pour que nous passions aux choses concrètes, c'est-à-dire au contact et à la transformation des entreprises. Avec nos ressources, franchement, je crois que nous allons monter très haut. Voilà.
Uganda is prepared because by looking at category A, these are the measures which we are already implementing anyway. Because these are measures whereby you will not even need technical and capacity building. And of course you have to be very careful when you are selecting what we refer to as category A. Because if you select category, if you put any measure in category A, and you annex, and the categories are annexed on the agreement, then you cannot turn around and say you are not implementing that. So that's why you find that for category A, once you identify that this measure falls under category A, then you are completely compliant. You're already complying with that measure.
Malawi currently we have a lot of work to do in terms of streamlining the documentation of for export purposes, and we are making efforts towards that to try and reduce the number of documents. We are even now in the process of implementing what we call the national single window, so that we can reduce and speed up the process of processing documents. We actually have a national working group on trade facilitation. So this is not something that we will be starting, but we need maybe to strengthen what we do under that national trade facilitation agreement forum.
Now, speaking from the perspective of COMESA, there are lots of trade facilitation initiatives and programs that are underway, which member states implement. So this group of obligations can already go into category A obligations. Some of them are basically documentation. We have got the COMESA customs document, which reduced the number of documents actually from 27 to 1. So that's already used within the COMESA region. We have got road standards on axle loads and vehicle dimensions, so this can already be notified. We have got the yellow card system, which is simply a third-party motor insurance scheme, where you simply take out third-party insurance in one country, and it's recognized throughout the COMESA region, 19 countries. We have got the regional customs transit bond guarantee system, where for transit trade, you simply take out one document which is recognized throughout the region, and you don't have to take out a document in each country that you are crossing.
The COMESA virtual trade facilitations has 4 components, including the cargo tracking, which is the main component of the system. In the Ethiopian context, already we have undergone a lot of undertakings to implement the system, including the Customs Authority, Ministry of Transport, MOFED as coordinating ministry, and the private sectors, which is the ultimate beneficiary of the system. So in terms of commitment, the government already has established a national technical committee, which is chaired by the Customs Authority, the Ethiopian Revenue and the Customs Authorities, with the membership of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Ministry of Transport, Information Network Security Agency, and COMESA.
The new trade facilitation agreement in terms of SPS, with careful analysis, it's forcing SPS authorities to work more closely with customs authorities. And the tendency of SPS authorities also always to view SPS measures only from the public health lens. In the TF agreement will kind of force SPS authorities to make a careful balance between public health objectives and trade objectives, so that none excludes the other, none is enforced at the cost of the other, which currently I find that in the region there's a tendency to enforce public health at the cost of trade facilitation. So there are two things here. I think in a way it's facilitating governments to make a very careful balance in terms of achieving a public health objective and a trade objective. And two, it is helping governments to bring SPS instruments in closer collaboration with other customs-related trade facilitation instruments so that there is smooth flow of goods across borders.
So now we have been at the Chirundu one-stop border post, and as it turns out, the key steps which were taken to facilitate trade included introducing the scanner, the scanner, which takes only 3 to 5 minutes to scan a truck. Now that replaces a system of physically checking goods, which could take up to 1 day or even more than 1 day. But at Chirundu they have only one scanner, so probably there is merit in considering introduction of various other scanners. The other thing that we have seen is that it would be very important for all the border agencies to work together so that if possible you have a single window or a single desk for doing all the clearances that need to be done with the border agencies. These are immigration, health, environmental agencies which regulate the entry into the country of products and people. So the idea of a single window is crucial, it's very important for facilitating trade.
We're talking about trade, investment and facilitation, so I'm talking about the movement. If the capital city can receive me, fine, but I would like to do a couple of projects within the entire country. How do I do that? You look at our road network, railway, even on the seaside, it is a problem. So hence, my recommendation is government to relook at aviation as its own. Countries like our neighbors have created a ministry for aviation. There is a reason for that.
The COMESA region has benefited from the bank, but from all the donors of major trade facilitation program. A lot of progress has been achieved in the region. The benefit of the international agreement is basically that you can show to the world that we are serious about what we are doing. Some of the areas where you have made significant progress, you should be prepared and willing. I'm glad many African countries are willing to go in that way, to commit internationally that this is the norm, we are here for business. And that would be a category A. We are prepared to help the countries define, having the consensus among the stakeholders to make sure that they have a full understanding of what they want to do and do it. The second basically is that they would also need to review the entire trade facilitation program and see those where they need a bit more time to be able to commit, and then we're also prepared to help them with that. And then later on also, when they do need some capacity, we are prepared to help them identify, define the capacity building program, but also later on to help address the issues that would be in those capacity building program.
Now, the reason why developed countries were keen on trade facilitation, of course, is obvious. They have got lots of products to trade. They are looking for markets, and Africa is the prime market now in the world. It's the growth pole of the world, as everybody knows. We look at our growth rates in Africa here. They have been double the global average, at close to 5% now, and over the last, say, few years. So Africa is the place everybody wants to be, and everybody wants to do business. So they wanted to pry open all these markets, including African markets, as well as, of course, the advanced developing countries, India, Brazil, and so on, where problem tariffs are still high.